The night side of Mars glowed faintly beneath the restaurant's glass dome, the crimson deserts illuminated by the silent shimmer of orbital lights. Ethan sat alone at the table, tracing the condensation on his glass as gravity thrummed beneath the floor, a reminder that even the pull keeping him grounded wasn't real. He wasn't sure why he'd agreed to this. Maybe because silence had become too heavy lately. Maybe because pretending to be normal for one evening seemed easier than facing the hollow ache that waited in his apartment. The woman arrived exactly on time. Her movements were deliberate, graceful, almost rehearsed. When she sat, the chair seemed to adjust to her shape as if recognizing her. "You're Ethan Cole," she said, her voice carrying a calm certainty. Her eyes were unlike anything he had ever seen, silver, with faint luminescent rings that pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. She smiled in a way that made him feel studied rather than welcomed. "I'm Arya." He nodded, awkward, unsure how to respond to someone who looked like she'd stepped out of another world. You work on the station?" "In a sense," she replied. "I'm a guardian. My responsibilities aren't exactly administrative." The tone was too formal for a date, yet something about it intrigued him. When the waiter, a smooth-voiced android, brought their drinks, she didn't touch hers. Her gaze flicked to the small black capsule resting beside her on the table. It pulsed faintly, emitting a soft hum, almost like breathing. "What's that?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Arya hesitated. "A companion," she said finally. The capsule opened with a whispering click, and inside, a small creature unfurled, a creature that should not have existed. Tiny, iridescent scales shimmered like fragments of starlight, wings curled tight against a soft body no larger than his palm. A baby dragon, breathing softly in rhythm with the hum of the capsule. Ethan froze. His mind refused to reconcile what his eyes saw. The creature blinked at him once, then again, slower. Its gaze was intelligent, impossibly ancient. And then, in a voice not spoken aloud but echoing directly in his mind, it whispered, "Ethan." He jerked back, nearly knocking over his chair. The word, his name, wasn't just sound. It carried warmth, familiarity, sorrow. He looked at Arya, but she was motionless, eyes wide, lips parted in disbelief. "It spoke to you," she said softly, as though the idea itself were dangerous. What? His heart hammered against his ribs. "It said my name." "How?" "That's impossible," she interrupted, standing abruptly. The air around her shimmered faintly, as if she radiated heat that bent light itself. The dragonlet tilted its head, still watching him, eyes reflecting the soft blue of the planet below. "Ethan Cole," Arya whispered, more to herself than to him. "The hatchling shouldn't know you. It shouldn't know anyone." He tried to laugh, but the sound caught in his throat. "You're saying it, read my mind." She didn't answer. Instead, she reached for the creature with trembling hands. "It recognized your blood," she murmured. "There's no other explanation." The restaurant's lights flickered, a soft alarm tone resonating through the air as if the station itself felt the disturbance. Ethan stood, confusion turning to unease. "What are you talking about?" Arya met his gaze, her voice steady now, almost solemn. "You were never meant to be here tonight, Ethan. But something has found you." And in that moment, the baby dragon's wings opened, scattering faint sparks of light that drifted into the air like embers. The sound it made was almost a sigh, soft, mournful, and ancient, before everything around him went dark. Darkness pressed around him, broken only by the faint blue shimmer of the hatchling scales. The restaurant systems had shut down completely, no sound, no hum of artificial gravity, no flicker of holographic decor. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears as he reached instinctively for his wrist display, but it was dead. Everything was. Arya stood still, her profile lit by the creature's glow, her hand hovering protectively over it as if guarding something sacred. Then the emergency lights blinked back to life in blood-red tones. Gravity re-engaged with a jolt, and the metallic voice of the station's AI filled the air, Sector 7 experiencing an unregistered energy discharge. Containment protocol active. Doors sealed around them with a hiss, trapping them inside the dome. What's happening? Ethan asked. Arya didn't answer. She crouched beside the dragonlet, whispering softly in a language that wasn't human. The creature responded by curling its tiny claws into her sleeve, frightened. When she rose again, her calm facade was gone. We need to leave. Now. She crossed the floor, touching her fingertips to the metal wall. A faint symbol flared to life under her skin, a pattern like a constellation. The wall split open, revealing a hidden corridor bathed in blue light. Come, she said. If they detect it, they'll come for both of us. He hesitated only a moment before following. The corridor stretched deep into the bowels of the station, lined with alien inscriptions he couldn't read. It smelled faintly of ozone and something ancient, like dust from forgotten ruins. Who are they? He asked. The Authority, she replied, walking quickly. They've been hunting the Dravari bloodlines for centuries. You just gave them reason to believe one survived. Dravari? He frowned. What does that even mean? She stopped suddenly, turning to him. It means that little creature should never have existed, and yet it did. It means its voice recognized something inside you. Her gaze softened. It means you are not entirely human. He tried to laugh, but it came out hollow. That's insane. Arya's expression didn't waver. Then explain how a newborn dragon whispered your name. They reached a chamber at the corridor's end, an open space filled with hovering crystals pulsing like hearts. She placed the dragon in the center. The crystals reacted instantly, aligning themselves into a spiral of light. Symbols flared across the floor, forming a map of unknown worlds and burning stars. Ethan stared as one of the lights pulsed brighter than the rest, red, sharp, alive. That's where you come from, Arya whispered. The world where the last of the Dravari fell. It's not on any human chart. The air vibrated suddenly. Alarms began wailing again, and a mechanical voice cut through the noise, unauthorized biosignal detected. Enforcement units inbound. Arya cursed under her breath and grabbed his wrist. You can choose to deny it later. For now, run. They sprinted through another passage, lights flashing overhead. Drones descended from the ceiling like metal insects, their weapons glowing. Arya lifted her hand, and the air warped around them. The drones froze mid-air, then imploded silently, crushed by invisible pressure. Ethan stumbled, staring at her. How did you? She shook her head. Later. Ahead, a large door loomed open, revealing a small vessel docked in a private bay. Its hull shimmered like liquid metal, alive with shifting veins of light. Arya ushered him inside. Welcome aboard the Emberlight, she said, breathless. If we make it past orbit, I'll tell you everything. As the hatch sealed behind them, the station trembled violently. The dragonlet chirped once, and for the first time, Ethan felt its voice not as a sound but as a pulse inside his chest, familiar, warm, and terrifyingly alive. The Emberlight tore free from the docking bay, its living hull rippling as if breathing. Ethan felt the pressure of acceleration drag against his bones, but there was no vibration, only a deep, organic hum pulsing through the floor like a heartbeat. The stars outside bent and shimmered as the vessel slipped into phase drive, and the burning lights of the Mars station vanished behind them. For a long moment, there was silence except for the soft thrumming of the ship and the quiet breaths of the creature resting in Arya's arms. He tried to steady himself, gripping the edge of a translucent console. Where are we going? Arya's hands danced across living controls that pulsed in response to her touch. Somewhere the Authority can't trace us. The Emberlight doesn't navigate by coordinates, it follows resonance. We're tracking the frequency of your blood. He blinked. My what? The hatchling recognized it for a reason. There's something inside you, Dravari code woven into your DNA. It responds to ancient signals, to things human sensors can't perceive. She looked at him, her silver eyes softening. You're not infected or possessed, Ethan. You're awakening. He tried to laugh it off, but the words hit him like gravity returning after a fall. You make it sound like I'm some kind of hybrid, she finished quietly. Half human, half Dravari. The last of a line that was meant to die. The ship trembled faintly as if the space around them resisted their passage. Outside, streaks of blue fire rippled across the void. Ethan turned toward the viewport and gasped. They were moving through what looked like liquid starlight, currents of luminous gas folding in slow motion, carrying debris of forgotten civilizations. Floating among them were colossal metallic skeletons, the remnants of ships shaped like dragons. Arya followed his gaze. The Dravari fleets. They tried to flee the purge. The Authority destroyed them before they could escape the system. He stared at the drifting ruins, unable to speak. Then something flickered at the edge of his vision, shapes forming in the reflections. Mountains of glass. Wings of fire. A voice whispering from somewhere beyond the ship, air of flame, his body jolted as if struck. The dragonlet stirred in response, its scales glowing brighter. What's happening to me? He gasped. Arya was at his side instantly. The bond is forming faster than I expected. The hatchling's presence is accelerating your awakening. He pressed a hand to his chest. Beneath his skin, warmth spread like liquid metal, pulsing in rhythm with the ship's core. For a second, he thought he saw light bleeding from his fingertips. I can feel it, like it's alive. It is, she said softly. You were born with a sealed heart fire. When it opens, it will connect to the emberlight, to me, to the dragons that remain scattered across the void. Her voice trembled on the last word, but before he could ask why, alarms flared throughout the ship. The calm hum of the phase drive warped into a shriek. They found us, Arya hissed, rushing to the controls. Authority interceptors, how did they breach the resonance field? Ethan turned to the viewport and saw them, sleek, black ships tearing through the void like predators. Energy flares streaked toward them, burning blue trails in the vacuum. Arya gripped the console. Hold on. The emberlight screamed as it dove through a corridor of folded space, the hull warping with the force. Ethan could feel the dragonlet's terror echoing in his mind. The ship's organic panels lit up with veins of crimson. Arya whispered a command in the Dravari tongue, and the stars outside shattered into threads of light. Then everything went white. The light dissolved slowly into chaos. Ethan awoke to find himself weightless, drifting in the dim red glow of the ship's emergency field. The emberlight moaned like something wounded. Cracks of radiant blue energy crawled across its organic walls, and strange, liquid patterns moved beneath the surface like veins struggling to heal. The hatchling floated nearby, encased in a protective membrane of shimmering air, its small wings trembling. Arya? His voice came out hoarse. He kicked toward the control node, fingers grasping at the handrails. She was slumped over the console, a dark smear of blood glinting under her collar. When he touched her shoulder, her eyes flickered open, glowing faintly silver. You're alive, he breathed. She grimaced, pressing a hand to her side. Barely. The Authority's gravity mines tore through the phase field. We're inside the Ember Sea now. Outside the viewport stretched a swirling ocean of incandescent gas, an endless storm of light and fire. Space itself shimmered like molten glass, folding in and out of focus. How is this possible? He whispered. The Ember Sea was once the heart of the Dravari realm, she said weakly. A rift in spacetime left when the last dragons burned their stars to seal the purge. He stared out in awe. Fragments of ruined worlds drifted in the distance, shattered moons, crystalline debris, skeletal remains of colossal wings floating like monuments to extinction. The hatchling whimpered softly, and Ethan reached toward it instinctively. The moment his fingers brushed the barrier, a surge of warmth flooded through him. Images crashed into his mind, ancient skies filled with dragons, silver cities rising from oceans of flame, and a voice whispering, "Remember who we were." He gasped, falling back. The warmth in his veins turned into fire. His skin shimmered faintly, scales of light blooming across his forearms before fading. "Arya," he said, voice trembling, "something's happening to me." She looked up, eyes wide with both fear and awe. "The Ember Sea resonates with your blood. It's amplifying the bond. You're becoming what you were meant to be." "I don't want this," he said, backing away. "I didn't ask for any of this." The ship shuddered violently. Through the viewport, 3 Authority interceptors appeared, their engines flaring cold white. They had followed them through the rift. Beams of energy cut across the void, striking the Emberlight's outer shell. The living hull screamed in protest. Arya forced herself to her feet, gripping the control sphere. "Hold on. I can," she gasped as another impact rocked the ship, her legs giving out. Ethan caught her before she fell. Her blood was warm against his hand, and the sight of it ignited something deep within him. The dragonlet let out a piercing cry, one that wasn't just sound but force. The walls of the ship pulsed in response. Ethan felt it move through him, through his heartbeat, through the ship itself. His vision blurred. Light poured from his hands, wrapping the hatchling in a protective glow that expanded outward like a living shield. The next blast from the interceptors struck, and shattered harmlessly against it. Arya's voice was faint but steady. "You've bonded fully, the Emberlight answers to you now." Outside, the ocean of fire stirred. Ethan felt the pull of its rhythm, the pulse of 1,000 sleeping stars. "Then let them come," he whispered, his voice resonating with something ancient and powerful. The hatchling's eyes flared, and Ethan extended his hand. The Emberlight responded like a living storm, its wings of plasma unfurling wide as they dove into the heart of the Ember Sea, leaving the pursuing ships to be consumed by the burning tide. The Emberlight drifted in silence through the burning clouds, its hull mending itself with slow, pulsing light. Ethan sat in the dim chamber at the ship's heart, the hatchling curled against his chest, breathing softly. The glow beneath his skin had faded, but the warmth remained, humming faintly with every heartbeat. He could still feel the ship's pulse inside him, as though they were one organism, one rhythm stretched across metal, flesh, and something older than both. Arya lay on a medical cradle nearby, her wound sealed by a mesh of living filaments. When she stirred, the cradle dimmed to let her breathe freely. "You did more than save us," she said quietly. "You guided the Emberlight through the sea without charts or engines. The ship obeyed your will." He looked away. "It wasn't me. It was, it." He glanced at the dragonlet, whose eyes shimmered with faint gold patterns. "It showed me what to do." Arya rose slowly, her steps unsteady. "Then it remembers," she said, studying the creature. "Its kind carried memories across generations. What it showed you came from before your birth, from before ours." She approached the control core, where a circular gate of crystalline material hovered in midair. "There's a vault here, Ethan. A Dravari archive. It's reacting to you." The air thickened with energy as she placed her hand on the gate. A spiral of symbols flared to life, forming a map of 1,000 worlds, some shattered, some burning, some hidden beyond black holes. At its center burned a red sun, pulsing in rhythm with Ethan's chest. He stepped closer. "What is this?" "The memory vault," Arya whispered. "It holds the truth of what happened when the Dravari fell. Their essence wasn't lost, it was sealed inside the hearts of those chosen to remember. Your ancestors carried that code, buried so deep humanity forgot." The gate expanded, revealing scenes of the past, vast cities floating above molten rivers, dragons merging with machines to form ships of living flame, and humans walking among them as equals. But the vision darkened. Skies filled with metallic fleets, worlds consumed by white fire. Ethan felt their screams like they were his own. He stumbled back, trembling. They destroyed themselves. No, Arya said softly. They were destroyed. The authority was born from those who feared what humans and Dravari had become together. They erased the bond, hunted both bloodlines. The hatchling stirred, letting out a low, mournful sound. The gate's light dimmed, replaced by a single line of text glowing in ancient runes. Arya translated under her breath, *, the air will awaken the hearts of the fallen, but the fire will demand its due, *. Ethan's pulse quickened. What does it mean? She met his gaze, sorrow in her eyes. It means the power inside you isn't just life, it's destruction. If you awaken the dragons, the balance that holds the galaxy together could collapse. Before he could respond, alarms blared again. The ship's voice rang out, calm but urgent. Multiple authority signatures inbound. Fleet class. Arya turned toward the viewport, where distant stars bent under approaching shadows. They've found the vault. Ethan clenched his fists, light flaring beneath his skin. Then it's time they remembered who we are. The dragonlet's wings unfurled, and the Emberlight's living walls began to glow brighter, resonating with his heartbeat. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel fear, only purpose. Somewhere deep inside, the fire stirred, ready to rise. The stars outside the Emberlight burned red as the authority fleet emerged from warp, surrounding the dying moon where the vault waited. Dozens of warships aligned in perfect formation, their weapons glowing like miniature suns. Ethan stood in the center of the chamber, the dragonlet perched on his shoulder, Arya at his side. The ship's living hull pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, and for the first time, he felt no fear. Only calm, deep and certain. They'll destroy everything, Arya said quietly, her gaze fixed on the growing wall of light. The vault, you, the hatchling, everything the Dravari left behind. They can try, he replied, voice steady. The warmth within him had become something vast, something alive. The fire wasn't consuming him, it was listening. I think it's time to finish what they started. Arya hesitated. If you open the heart fire completely, there's no turning back. You could burn out every cell in your body. The vault's energy might collapse this moon. Ethan looked at her, a faint smile curving his lips. Then we make sure it's worth the cost. He stepped into the center of the vault. The ancient crystals brightened, responding to his presence. The hatchling's small claws tightened on his shoulder, eyes blazing with gold fire. Ready, he whispered. It chirped once, and the vault came alive. Light filled the chamber, so bright it became sound, a resonant hum that echoed through space itself. The moon trembled as energy surged upward, forming a colossal sphere of flame around it. The authority fleet opened fire, but their beams dissolved into harmless streaks of light, drawn into the vortex Ethan had become. His veins glowed, scales of energy forming along his skin, wings of pure plasma unfurling from his back. The Emberlight rose behind him, merging with his aura until ship and man were one. He extended his hand, and the fire spread, not outward to destroy, but upward, weaving patterns in the void. Every ship froze, their engines dying, their systems overridden by the same pulse that beat within him. Through the storm of energy, Ethan's voice carried, not through speakers, but through every atom of the battlefield. We were never your threat. We were your beginning. The flames flared once more, then collapsed inward. The fleet vanished, not destroyed, but displaced, flung safely to the edge of the system. Silence returned. The moon cracked apart, revealing beneath it a vast network of glowing orbs, eggs of light, dormant for millennia. Arya's breath caught. The hearts of the dragons. Ethan fell to one knee, exhaustion overtaking him. The hatchling fluttered down before him, glowing brighter until its small form dissolved into a sphere of light that entered his chest. The warmth returned, soft and steady. Arya knelt beside him, touching his shoulder. You did it. You woke them. He looked up, watching as streams of light rose into the stars. Dragons of fire and memory reborn, soaring into the void. Not all of me will stay human anymore, he said quietly. But maybe that's what it takes to keep both worlds alive. The ember light hovered above the broken moon, its wings spread wide. As the dragons vanished into the endless dark, Arya reached for his hand. Where will you go? Ethan gazed toward the rising light. Where the fire leads. The galaxy's forgotten what it means to be alive. It's time someone reminded them. And as the ship turned toward the horizon, the stars themselves seemed to awaken, old embers stirring once more, waiting for the air of flame to guide them home.